All right, welcome. Today we're going to break down the single most critical, most widespread security risk facing web applications right now: broken access control. So here's what we're going to do. We'll look at why it's number one, dive into how attackers actually use it, see the real-world damage it causes, and, most importantly, walk through the concrete steps you can take to build secure applications from the ground up. All right, let's get right into it. For years, this one category has just dominated the list. I mean, it consistently beats out everything else. So why is that? Well, if you look at the latest OWASP Top 10 for 2025, there's no contest. Broken access control is still the undisputed champ of security risks. It's the threat that security pros are most worried about, and for some very good reasons. But here's the part that's just wild. The scale of this thing. A staggering 100% of applications tested in 2025 had at least one form of broken access control. No, that's not a typo. Every single one. It is literally everywhere. So, what are we really talking about when we say access control? Think of it this way. It's the bouncer or the gatekeeper for your application. It's supposed to enforce the rules. Who gets in, who can do what. When it's broken, well, those gates are just wide open for anyone to walk through. Okay, so how does this happen? How does a flaw like this end up everywhere? And why is it so ridiculously hard for developers to get right? I mean, just look at the numbers. They're staggering. This isn't just one simple bug we're talking about. It's a whole family of 40 different common weakness enumerations. It's been found over 1.8 million times in apps, leading to tens of thousands of documented vulnerabilities. Here's the real kicker. This isn't like a simple typo in your code. It's a flaw in the business logic itself. You see, automated scanners are great at finding simple stuff, but they have no idea what your application is supposed to do. They don't know that a regular user shouldn't be able to approve their manager's expense report. And that's exactly where these flaws love to hide, making them so easy to miss. All right, now for the fun part, at least from an attacker's perspective. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how they turn these design flaws into major security breaches. Okay, first up, and probably the most common one you'll see, is called an insecure direct object reference. You'll hear people call it IDOR for short. This is basically when an app just trusts the user a little too much. And this is a perfect example. The developer expects you to request your own order, right? So you go to /API/orders/12345. But what does an attacker do? They just change that last number. They try 12346. If the server isn't checking, hey, does this user actually own order 12346? Boom, they're now looking at someone else's private data. Another classic is what we call vertical privilege escalation. Think of it like an attacker giving themselves an instant promotion. If the app is sloppy and stores your role, like user, in a cookie, an attacker can just change it. They'll swap out role equals user for role equals admin, and suddenly they've got the keys to the kingdom. Okay, this is a big one. New for 2025, server-side request forgery, or SSRF, is now officially part of this category. And that makes a ton of sense, because at its core, it's about bypassing internal security boundaries. So here's how SSRF works. An attacker can't get through your firewall from the outside, right? But your own application server can talk to things behind the firewall. So the attacker tricks your server into making a network request for them, and since that request is coming from a trusted source, your own server, it just waltzes right past the firewall, getting access to internal databases, cloud services, all the stuff that should never be exposed. And the fallout from this can be absolutely devastating. We've seen major incidents where SSRF was used to jump between different customer accounts in the cloud. It's even been used to steal credentials to deploy ransomware. It's no wonder attacks surged by over 450% in 2024 alone. So when you look at all these attack vectors together, you start to see a really dangerous pattern. A simple IDOR, yeah, a scanner might find that. But the really critical stuff, the attacks that cause the most damage, like SSRF, those are way harder to spot automatically. They really need a human eye and careful code review. So what's the bottom line when one of these attacks actually works? Well, the consequences aren't just a slap on the wrist. We're talking severe, sometimes even business-ending damage. You know, a single broken check can quickly snowball into a complete catastrophe.
We're not just talking about data breaches. We're talking about attackers modifying or destroying data, taking over admin accounts, a full system compromise. And then comes the fallout. Massive fines, lawsuits, and trying to win back customer trust, which, let's be honest, you might never get back.
All right, enough of this scary stuff, because here's the good news. All of this is preventable. It's not magic. It just takes the right mindset and, more importantly, the right practices when you're building software.
It all starts with one foundational principle, and it's super simple. Deny by default. What does that mean? It means nobody gets access to anything unless you have explicitly granted it. The default answer is always no.
And this is non-negotiable. You can never, ever trust the client. Never trust checks that happen in the user's browser. Trying to check if user.role is admin on the client side, that's a recipe for disaster. All of your authorization logic has to be enforced on the server, period. Ideally in one central place. So here's a simple 5-step roadmap you can follow. 1. Centralize your authorization logic. Don't sprinkle it all over your code. 2. Enforce record ownership. For every request, check, does this user own this data, to kill IDORs. 3. Harden your tokens and sessions. Think short-lived and secure. 4. Secure your internal APIs. Don't assume they're safe just because they're internal. And 5. Log and alert on failures. You can't stop an attack you can't see.
So, let's wrap this up. If there's one thing you take away from this, it's that broken access control isn't about some flashy, complicated hack. It's about getting the absolute fundamentals of your application's rules right from day one. And this isn't just some abstract concept. It's a real-world challenge for every single person building software today. So, I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know what the number one risk is, where in your own application are you going to look first? Are you going to start reviewing your APIs, maybe rethink your access rules during your next design meeting, or maybe you'll finally add those access control tests to your build process? Whatever it is, the most important step is the one you take next.